to Kindling, where African stories come to life. My name is Awe, your storyteller, and today's tale comes to us from the beautiful highlands of Lesotho, a mountainous kingdom in southern Africa where the skies are vast. Now, did you know that Lesotho is the only country in the world that lies entirely above 1,000 meters in elevation? That means that every single part of Lesotho is mountainous, earning it the nickname the Kingdom in the Sky. Even its lowest point is higher than the highest point in many countries all over the world. Now, today's story comes from this fascinating small land, and it's a story that the elders have told for many, many generations with a very wise message. It's a tale of friendship, pride, and the heavy price of forgetting a promise. It's called The Hen, the Hawk, and the Needle. Let's hear it. Once, long, long ago, in the days when birds could talk, there lived two very, very good friends, the hen and the hawk. Now, every day the hawk would fly down from the skies just to sit on the ground and listen to his dear friend the hen talk. She would laugh. She never stopped talking. And her laughter danced through the air. Hawk loved to spend time with his friend, and they spent many an afternoon together talking and laughing. Now, the hawk had something that no other bird in the land had, a needle. One day, his dear friend hen said to him, "Friend, please lend me your needle. I have collected some fine animal skins and now I would like to sew them into a blanket, but I have nothing to use." Now the hawk, of course, thought carefully before he answered. "What if you lose it?" he thought. "How will I do my work then? I only have the one needle." But the hen laughed. "Don't be silly, friend. I will be very careful. And if I lose your needle, I promise you this, you may have one of my beloved chicks." That seemed like a fair trade, thought the hawk, and so he agreed to lend his dear friend his needle. Well, the very next day, the hawk brought down the needle for the hen, and of course she took it, and within a few days she made very light work, and she had soon sewn herself the most beautiful fur skin blanket out of the little animal skins that she had collected. Well, the blanket was beautiful indeed. It was soft, the leather was tanned and absolutely beautiful to look at. The hen put on her new fancy blanket, and off she went, strutting through the village to show off her new blanket. And of course, all the other hens remarked at what a fine piece of clothing she was wearing. "Ooh, look at this woman. Her husband must be the chief. How can she wear such a fine animal skin blanket?" For of course it was the custom in those days that animal skins were only worn by the very, very noble and very special people in the community. Well, the hen puffed up with pride at all the compliments she was receiving from her beautiful appearance, and so she quickly ran back home to tell her children, "Children, you must sweep this house now. Sweep up all the dirt, sweep up all the leaves, because the house needs to be clean. A woman as fine as me, wearing such fine attire, cannot live in a house with dirt on the floor. Sweep it up now, sweep up all the dirt, and go and throw it on the ash piles." And with that, the little chicks did exactly as their mother had told them. They swept up the house very diligently and swept up all the piles of dirt and took them outside and threw them onto the ash piles outside the house. But of course, unbeknownst to the little chicks, on the floor, amongst the dirt and the dust in the house, lay the hawk's needle, which the hen, in her excitement about her blanket, had just tossed aside and left on the floor. The little chicks did what they were told, of course. They knew no better, and they swept it all up and threw it outside. And the hen, now pleased with how clean and beautiful her house looked, went back out again into the streets to parade and show everyone her beautiful blanket and her high status. Well, very soon, of course, her friend Hawk flew past. And at this point, seeing that his friend was now wearing her beautiful blanket, called down, "Friend, friend, friend, give me my needle, friend." Well, upon hearing that sound, the hen immediately remembered the hawk's needle. Well, she ran back to her house as quickly as she could in search of the needle. And when she got there, she began to look around on the floor, trying to remember where she had left the needle. But of course, by now, the house was swept completely clean. It was immaculate, and she could not find the needle anywhere. She panicked, and quickly she rushed back outside and began to scratch around in the ash piles, because of course this is where the children had thrown the dirt. And she scratched and she scratched. She completely lost herself in the search of this needle, that she dropped her fancy new blanket on the ground and lost all her pride, for now all she could remember was that she had promised that hawk one of her chicks. And in a panic, she scratched and scratched through the dirt and the ash, kicking it all up around her in search of this needle, calling out to her children, "Children, come help me search for the needle, otherwise the hawk will have you for dinner." Well, they all searched frantically, but overhead, the hawk had followed her and was now circling, still calling, "Friend, friend, where's my needle, friend?" Well, just then the hawk swooped down as if to grab one of the chicks. The hen luckily saw him just in time and called out to her chicks, "Bah, bah, 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 bah," and they all ran and hid underneath their mother's feathers. Well, because of that, the hawk could not get to the chicks, though he tried. And eventually, after some time, he gave up. But he vowed that he would be back the following day to look for what he had been promised. And the hen knew that soon, of course, the hawk would be back. Well, she continued to search and search through the dust piles and the ash piles and all the dirt around the house. And very soon, all the other hens and chickens from around the village came and asked her what was going on. The poor hen explained the story about how she had lost the needle and how the hawk would come back for what was his. And of course, the other chickens and hens took pity on her and joined in the searching, because they too had chicks and they too knew that their children would be in danger. And so it was that there was no rest. There was only unrest and worry for the chickens from now on, because they knew that the hawk would be back. And so it is that to this day, the hen and the hawk are at loggerheads. Whenever the hawk's shadow is seen circling in the sky, the hen quickly gathers her children and keeps them under her wings. And when the hawk leaves, all the hens return to scratching and kicking up the dust and the dirt in the ash piles, searching for that long-lost needle, which they have never, ever found. And that is where the story ended. So what can we learn from this simple little tale about the hen, the hawk, and the needle? Well, this tale teaches us that even the tiniest thing can have huge impact and meaning when trust is involved. A small thing like a needle led to a huge fallout between two old friends. The story also teaches us, or warns us rather, that pride can make us forget our promises, but this forgetting has dire consequences. The hen wore her blanket for a moment and was filled with pride and status, but she soon lost her peace forever because her pride had made her forget a promise to a dear friend. Now, this is an important message because sometimes it's very easy for us to be caught up in the moment in whatever we're doing in something that might fill us up with confidence or pride. And there's nothing wrong with that. But it's important to stay true to who we are and to the people around us and the commitments that we have, and not allow ourselves to be blindsided and blinded by a moment of glory. An important message, whatever you do in life and whatever stage of life you're in, to treat others with respect and to honor your promises and friendships. Well, with that lovely message, we end today's episode. And once again, remind you that you can share your comments on any of our stories and also suggest stories that you would like us to feature in the series. Just leave your thoughts in the comments below. We'd love to hear from you and hear what you think of our series so far. Join us again next week for another tale from a different African country as we journey through stories across the African continent, one country at a time. Thank you for joining me. Until next week, remember, keep telling stories.